We start with an update on breaking news. A groping incident occurred Wednesday just before 5 o'clock on the second floor of the Cherry Creek building. The perpetrator was discussing religion with the victim, and when parting, they hugged and he groped the victim. The suspect has already been arrested, but Chief Phibbs warned you to alert others in the vicinity when something like this occurs. Try to remember as many details as possible, and witnesses should stay until police arrive. Lots ahead to get to this morning. Thanks for joining us on the Met Report. I'm Auraria.
And I'm Hernandez. We begin today with these top stories. Unfortunately, mass shootings, particularly in grade schools, have noticeably increased over the last decade in the United States. While the public discussion is nearly always passionate, political, and hotly debated, folks at home are getting an uncomfortably intimate look at the new Sandy Hook back-to-school commercial. Earlier this month, the Sandy Hook Promise, a nonprofit group led by parents of victims in school shootings, released a nationwide back-to-school commercial featuring K-12 kids showing off back-to-school supplies for their budding semester. However, it's not long before these same school supplies are used by the same children to protect themselves against an unseen school shooter. According to their website, the Sandy Hook Promise hopes to raise national awareness and organize community-level volunteers to continue their mission and by keeping children safe.
September is Suicide Awareness Month and is meant to educate the public about mental illness and the signs of depression. Our own Chantel Galindo gives us an inside look.
September was Suicide Awareness Month, and Richard Michio gave us some insight.
We see students of every race, gender, ethnic identity, so it doesn't discriminate against any particular population on campus.
Student Sarah Mateen says mental health is something college students struggle with due to the amount of stress they experience.
Mental health is an issue that affects a lot of college students, mainly because of our lifestyle and our age group. We're at an age where we are unsure about our future. So I feel like just normalizing the fact that it's good to seek out help and that it's normal is a great way.
Multiple events were held here at MSU Denver to raise awareness for suicide. Richard Michio tells us what we should look out for when it comes to suicide awareness.
Especially this month kind of being Suicide Awareness Month, looking at or taking into consideration individuals who are talking about hurting themselves or having thoughts of not wanting to be around anymore, expressing hopelessness, helplessness, or maybe even telling somebody that they are suicidal and wanting to hurt themselves. Students, there's a lot of great resources on campus. Students pay a mental health fee as part of their student fees each semester. It allows them access to our counseling center.
Resources are available to those students experiencing suicidal thoughts or mental health issues at the counseling center and the health center.
Last weekend, people from all over the nation joined together in protests and acts of civil disobedience to spread awareness about climate change. Jessica Livingston has more on the protests here in Denver.
Ho, ho. Climate change has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Climate change has got to go. Hey, hey.
Peaceful protests in the streets of Denver ended the climate strike with a bang. These protests resulted in multiple arrests, including a freelance reporter.
Very upsetting because, we're supposed to just be doing our job, finishing up an edit and getting it on a website, and instead I'm bailing him out of jail this evening, probably.
The climate strike is a weekend-long event all around the nation, organized by multiple nonprofit organizations to raise awareness for climate change.
Even though we had arrests and it was unexpected, there was a lot of energy and people were very happy to be here. People are really hurting about the climate emergency.
On Monday, they had a morning protest and an afternoon. The afternoon swarm started at Sunken Gardens and marched down Spear, blocking intersections for one light cycle before they move on to the next. Their mission? Eliminate extinction.
Alright, we're taking one lane.
For the Met Report, I'm Jessica Livingston.
It has been considerably warmer recently, don't you guys agree?
Yeah, completely. But I'm ready for it to cool off for sure. It's going to be weather and gene season soon. Our student meteorologist, Trevor Blatnik, is here, and he can tell you more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been unseasonably warm so far here in September, and the temperatures today definitely reflect that. Out on the Eastern Plains, 72 in Ray, 69 in Burlington. As we move into the city, 68 at the airport down to 69 in the Springs, 41 at Berthoud Pass, which is always our cold spot on the map. But as we move along through the Front Range into the high country, Aspen at 68, and along the western slope into Grand Junction, that is 76 degrees. Today, it'll get up to 78 degrees, which is basically mirroring what we've had for most of the month. We have had some very warm days, but for the most part, upper 70s, lower 80s has been what we've had. It'll be partly clouded with winds out of the east at 14 miles an hour. So just kind of keep an eye on that wind, but enjoy the warm while you have, because a big cool down is ahead. We'll tell you when. Winter is finally coming. We'll tell you where and what we mean by that. And of course, our 7-day forecast.
Looking to up your Instagram game? The Denver Selfie Museum will help you capture all your good angles.
Plus, ICE protests accumulated across the country. Let's see how they're standing up for immigrants.
And find out how this team is skating through their adversities.
Ballerina.
Sometimes all it takes to be a dad is remembering how to be a kid again. Take time to be a dad today.
Swimming is a fun, enjoyable activity, but it can also be very dangerous if you don't know how to do life-saving skills. And so that's what swimming lessons is. It can be that extra protection against the threats of water. And so here at Aquatot Swim School, it's going to teach those little ones to be confident in the water, having no fear and anxiety. We're going to be working on basic foundational swimming skills.
When we are doing our level 3 classes, so this is our foundational class, so they will do some jumping in, turning around, and finding a wall. Swimming year-round helps the kids retain all of their swim skills that they're learned throughout their swimming lessons. So if they're swimming year-round, they are able to keep making that progress without having to track back if they're coming out and going back in.
If you're looking for something to do this fall, downtown Denver is home to a brand new pop-up that will leave you saying cheese. Reporter Yekta Eskandari has more on the story.
The Denver Selfie Museum is the first of its kind to let the public touch, interact, and even become a part of the art.
We did not expect to get as much exposure as we did. We thought it's a very new concept. We would need to spread the word and explain, but actually I think Denver has been waiting for it.
Denver residents have taken this opportunity to up their Instagram game.
Our plan was to be here just for 6 months as a pop-up. Now, since it's been so successful, we decide in 6 months we'll just change the installations and keep going. So I think we'll be permanently in Denver.
From ball pits, a gumball machine wall, to a swing surrounded by floating bananas, each installation has its own colorful theme to capture creativity.
We call it Museum 2.0. Well, yeah, you can interact with objects, you can touch them, make pictures with it. You know, there's interactive rooms like mirror room where you get the orbs, light orbs, you can change the colors, you can move them around, create your own thing.
Some installations will even have you turning your neck.
I also love all the artworks that we have from local artists. We have guys from Denver, Greeley, Golden, Colorado Springs. And yeah, I love it. And those guys, they're a huge part of it.
With only being open for 3 weeks, Igor is determined to keep the success of the museum running.
Come into Denver Selfie Museum, check it out. It's ultimate selfie spot, but also not just for pictures, just fun to be in, you know, unusual settings, ball pit, stuff like that. It's cool. Check it out.
For the Met Report, Yekta Eskandari.
If you like scary movies and could use a little extra money in your pocket, this challenge is for you. Dish Network is offering $1,300 for participants to watch 13 Stephen King movies by Halloween. The competition consists of King's classics such as It and The Shining. Participants will wear a Fitbit and will have their heart rates and sleep patterns monitored. If you want to participate, go to usdish.com/getpaid to watch Stephen King movies and fill out the application and write 200 words or less on why you should participate.
Speaking of spooky, October is right around the corner, and so is Fright Fest. Fright Fest opens today, and people are coming from all over to get their scare on at Colorado's largest Halloween event. The park is open from September 27th to November 2nd from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Fridays, Saturday from 12 p.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. Fright Fest is family-friendly by day and fright by night, which means little monsters and ghouls can trick-or-treat and participate in multiple activities until 5 p.m. After dark, the park becomes alive and is filled with shrieks and scares to last all night. Stop by and check it out, and remember, the recommended age is 12 and up.
A new church in Denver chooses to celebrate their spirituality in a unique way. Here's a look at what makes this particular church so special.
On the corner of Logan and Dakota Street in Denver sits the International Church of Cannabis, a place of spirituality for those who identify as elevationists.
An elevationist is a person that believes that the use of cannabis in a mindful and ritual way can help them in their own transcendental or spiritual life's journey. When we already had the building, it was being used as office space. It was going to be turned into condos, and then we decided to, rather than do that, to try and maintain it as a sacred space. We accept and welcome people from all different backgrounds, whether they started out life as a sort of a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew, doesn't matter. This is about saying, okay, well, now I can go beyond that, and I look past those barriers and see what else there is in the world. Beyond experience is, what it is it's basically a journey. It starts off with a 7-minute guided meditation that takes part in this chapel, but the chapel, the lights to come down, and all the projectors that are around the chapel turn the place into a star field. So it's like you're floating through space. It's very beautiful, very calming and relaxing. And then that goes into a much more upbeat musical experience. I think people might get the wrong idea of what it's all about here. It really is about building a community. So you can get all that kind of like charitable community church kind of experience with a lot less dogma and a little bit more weed involved.
For the Met Report, Corey O'Leary.
Welcome back to the Met Report Weather. I'm student forecaster Trevor Blatnik, and let's take a look at some nationwide temperatures. You can see along the East Coast, Portland and Maine is 68 degrees, New York City 73. It does warm up in the South as it always does, 90 in Charlotte, 93 in Nashville, 90 in Miami. As we move into the Midwest, you can see 62 in Chicago, but it does warm up the further south we go. Of course, Kansas City at 87, but up in Bismarck, it's 52, Denver 66, Bozeman 54, and in San Francisco 65, Los Angeles 72 degrees. When we were telling you that winter is coming, this is what we mean. You can see up near Vancouver, that color blue. This is what that color blue is going to do. That's actually a low pressure system that's going to move into the United States, sitting basically on the border in between Washington and Oregon, and it's going to bring a large amount of snow. Now, as we advance a little bit further, you can see that low pressure basically sits still, but it does move southeast just a little bit. And that cool down we were talking about, it's going to be a result of that low pressure. As it continues to move east, Denver will be affected just a little bit by it, but that will bring the cooler temperatures that we are expecting early next week. But talking about that snowfall, look at this. a projected 4 feet of snow from this first winter storm of the season. And if you're a meteorologist or just a weather fanatic like me, you just have to be so excited about seeing this. It is going to be into southern Alberta and northern Montana, the northern Rocky Mountains, but still, just seeing this on a map is kind of ironic, but it warms your heart a little bit because it means that winter is finally coming. Taking a look at the metro area, right now there's not too much to talk about, just a little bit of clouds, but as we move a little bit further on, you can see that precipitation does start to build as we go north on I-25 near Fort Collins and Greeley. That's just rain showers. What we want to show you as we advance is that little bit of pink in between Georgetown and Vail along the I-70 corridor. As it stands right now, we might see a little bit of snow. And yes, it is 1:15 in the morning on Saturday. It won't be anything substantial, but there is the chance for that. And as we advance near 4 a.m. on Saturday, you can see a lot more snow in that Estes Park area northeast of Granby. So it's not going to be an effect on your drives or anything like that, but it is something to look at, and it is kind of cool to see winter starting to make its way into Denver a little bit. Of course, it cools out by tomorrow morning. And tonight we'll get down to 59 degrees, partly cloudy skies, wind out of the east-northeast at 12 miles an hour. Going ahead into tomorrow, it'll get back up into the 80s at 81, but that wind out of the south-southeast will get up to 21 miles an hour, which you could consider a windy day, but it's not going to blow any of your fences down or anything like that. It's just wind, and since it's 81, it might provide a nice cooling breeze. Taking a look at our 7-day forecast, you can see, of course, that 82 tomorrow. It'll get up to 87 on Sunday before cooling back into the low 80s on Monday. That low pressure I talked about will get here Tuesday and Wednesday, the mid to upper 60s, before going back into the 70s on Thursday and Friday. Stay tuned. Politics is next.
Stand on the edge of the train station platform. Drive around the boom, gets at a level crossing. Run across the tracks between the platforms. They may not rhyme, but they're quite possibly the dumbest ways to die.
There's a million dumb ways to die. Don't let it be around buses and trains. Be safe around buses and trains. A message from RTD.
So many dumb ways to die.
Biker Jim's brother.
Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Politics on the Met Report. My name is Jacob Wilson. Let's take a look at this week in politics. Prolific businessman and Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang is getting mixed attention since the last Democratic debate due to a legally questionable campaign move. In his opening statement, Yang made an offer to give $1,000 a month to 10 American families for a year. This unprecedented move comes amid concerns of possible violations of campaign finance laws, which prohibit cash payments for non-campaign activity. Yang's team, however, claims this is actually a form of campaign advertising, giving him new publicity. We spoke to MSU Denver's political science professor, Dr. Robert Prios, to find where the law draws the line.
some extent, I think it's in a lot of ways for a campaign with relatively low polling numbers, this is one of those options that is quirky and it's odd. It draws a lot of attention. You and I are talking about this, and we wouldn't be talking about Andrew Yang otherwise. So, as a campaign ploy, it makes a lot of sense. The legality of it, we'll have to see how it plays out. My sense is that it's probably within the realms of what candidates can do. We may see something similar to this down the line, but it certainly would have to have that same policy orientation. And Andrew Yang's been making this policy proposal for a while.
An intelligence agency whistleblower raised concerns over presidential conduct with the Ukrainian prime minister. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, announced Tuesday that an inquiry will begin on President Trump.
There are some in our caucus who think, let's just have an impeachment. No, we have to have an inquiry to further establish the facts. There is no rush to judgment, and in some ways we are a jury, open to what might be exculpatory or not.
This follows an op-ed in the Washington Post written by 7 freshman House Democrats who claim Trump asked the Ukraine to investigate political rival Joe Biden. In other local news, ongoing protests of the Aurora ICE detention facility have brought demonstrators to Warden Joe Choate's neighborhood. We met with participants and neighbors to see what they had to say.
My grandmother was interned in World War II, and so I see the same exact pattern going on. So, you know, I can't stand by and let things like this go on.
Keeping children in cages is just so inhumane. Just being able to, like, we're here in a neighborhood today because we want to escalate the issue, because this is a very dire matter of, like, human rights violation.
We're going to march to the ICE warden's house, make some noise, then march back, informing his neighbors all along the way.
Yeah, I live in the neighborhood. I think it's justified. Yeah, it's disrupting our lives, but that's what the point was.
Counter-protesters who support ICE enforcement followed the demonstration closely. No conflict occurred between the two groups, although Aurora police did arrest 3 protesters on suspicions of charges of obstruction. That's all for politics today. I'm Jacob Wilson. Don't go away. Sports with Trystin Swan is next.
And I invented this product, the Lovey Window. I invented this in preschool when I was at nap time, and I thought, why can't I see my Lovey in the day without taking it out? So I could see my Lovey the entire day. If you have a normal backpack, I can't see my Lovey, I can't hear my Lovey, I can't play with my Lovey, and that Lovey can't see me, can't hear me. Feel it. But if they have this, they can see you and have more light and not be scared. So if you want to see your Lovey in the middle of the day, you have to have this backpack, and so you can see the Lovey. Thank you.
Drop that baby.
with the latest in sports, both on campus and off. So let's start with some Roadrunner sports. Have you heard about MSU Denver's Palms team? MSU Denver's Palms team performs at volleyball, basketball, and soccer games. The team has done some performance already this season, but is really preparing for that shot at nationals this year. We interviewed one of the dancers, and here's what she had to say on preparing for nationals and what it's like being on the Palms team. Check it out.
Well, this is our first year going to nationals. It's in Florida in April, so that's going to be really exciting to see other teams and compete. I love my teammates. We're all really close. I love dancing with them. I love supporting Metro.
Now, let's take a look of sports off campus, starting with the playoff race in the MLB. As the weather cools down, Major League Baseball players' chase heats up with the defending champions, the Boston Red Sox, already eliminated. A new champion is guaranteed, continuing an 18-year streak. With the Los Angeles Dodgers, the losers of 2 straight World Series, will they finally win it, or will one of the other 9 teams in the playoff field ascend the mountaintop? Established stars like Paul Goldschmidt and Justin Verlander hope to cement their legacy, while budding stars like Ronald Acuna and Walker Buehler look to turn themselves into household names. Catch all the action starting October 1st with the National League wildcard game. So here's a new take on a well-known sport. It's been in Canada for quite some time and recently got introduced in the US. I'm talking about blind hockey. I went to Foothills Ice Arena to sit in on a practice for the Colorado Visionaries blind hockey team. Take a look.
Hockey is a thrilling, fast-paced sport, and blind hockey is no different. And for one team in Colorado, it's a chance for athletes who are blind or have low vision to get to play the sport they love. Colorado Visionaries blind hockey team was founded in January of 2018 and has continued to grow thanks to a partnership with the Colorado Avalanche. Kent Martin is the team manager, and he got involved alongside of his son, Jeff, who plays for the national team.
My son played roller hockey throughout college, and then he was working for a couple of years, and he got glaucoma and became legally blind. And we heard about on a news story after the second Avalanche Tri-Blind hockey event. I kind of stepped forward and decided to try to give it a go, and we've kind of been building it with the Avalanche's help and with other people's helps. And now we believe that we're a very sustainable program. We have a bunch of kids and we have a bunch of adults, and we're trying to train them all.
With the help of Kent and a team of volunteers, players of all ages can participate, whether they've been playing for years or have never stepped foot on the ice.
A little bit when I was a kid, it was mostly playing in the streets with like tennis balls so that I could actually see the puck. I haven't really been playing actual like blind ice hockey for really more than just like 6 months or so now.
I'm Cody Bear. I've been playing blind hockey since we started the program here in Colorado. About a year and a half.
Regardless of skill level, each of these athletes takes their sport seriously and has a lot of fun as well.
That's all for us at the Met Report today. You can watch us every Friday on Campus Channel 20 and Comcast Channel 58.
And as always, make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on mymetmedia.com. Thank you guys for tuning in.